Good day, everyone. Today I'd like to share with you a simple yet powerful idea, one that can truly transform your life if you choose to embrace it wholeheartedly. That idea is summed up in just 4 powerful words: I will not quit. But, you see, not quitting is more than just stubborn determination. It's a philosophy, a personal creed that says, I'm in charge of my life and my outcomes. As I've always said, your personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. You can't control the wind, but you certainly can control how you respond to it. And the key to moving forward, despite setbacks, is cultivating a mindset that values persistence above momentary setbacks. Your personal philosophy is the invisible guiding force that shapes every decision you make and every path you choose to take. It influences your response to challenges and setbacks, and ultimately determines whether you persevere or surrender in the face of adversity. If your internal philosophy is weak or unclear, it becomes easy to justify quitting when things become difficult. But if your philosophy is solid, clearly defined, and unwavering, quitting becomes almost impossible, because it would mean betraying your own deeply held values. Developing a strong personal philosophy begins by consciously choosing your beliefs about life, success, and resilience. You must deliberately cultivate beliefs that empower and motivate you. For instance, adopting a philosophy that views challenges not as obstacles, but as essential stepping stones to personal growth, will drastically alter your perspective in difficult moments. Instead of feeling defeated or overwhelmed, you'll see these moments as opportunities for advancement, lessons waiting to be learned, and strength waiting to be developed. Moreover, your philosophy shapes your character. It is expressed in the consistency of your actions and your ability to maintain focus despite distractions or temporary failures. A strong personal philosophy serves as a compass, always directing you toward integrity, perseverance, and excellence. It encourages you to take responsibility for your actions, to see your setbacks as part of your journey, and to understand that your current circumstances are not fixed. They can and will change through deliberate effort and persistence. Ultimately, your personal philosophy defines who you become. It transforms the way you perceive the world and yourself. It determines whether you view quitting as an option or regard persistence as a moral duty and a personal promise to yourself. Cultivating this robust philosophy, therefore, becomes essential if you genuinely aspire not only to succeed, but to live a meaningful, fulfilled, and purpose-driven life. Clear goals act as your roadmap, guiding your actions and energizing your efforts. Without precise, defined goals, it's easy to drift aimlessly, becoming susceptible to distraction, procrastination, and ultimately, the temptation to quit. Imagine attempting a journey without knowing your destination. You'd likely feel lost, confused, and frustrated. Goals eliminate this uncertainty by providing clarity, direction, and a powerful sense of purpose. When you set clear and specific goals, you establish a meaningful target that naturally inspires commitment. Vague goals, like "I want to be successful," lack power, because they are ambiguous and don't direct your actions. However, goals that are sharply defined, such as "I want to complete my degree by next year," "I will achieve a certain income level within 2 years," or "I will run a marathon in 6 months," offer a precise vision of what success looks like. This specificity significantly enhances your motivation, making your efforts intentional, measurable, and compelling. Furthermore, clear goals help you measure your progress. They enable you to regularly assess how far you've come and how much further you must travel. By continuously tracking your progress, you remain connected to your vision, allowing you to recognize even the smallest victories along the way. Each small achievement reinforces your resolve, boosting confidence, resilience, and persistence. When obstacles inevitably arise, your well-defined goals remind you of your purpose, motivating you to persist rather than give up. In essence, clearly defined goals anchor your actions, sustain your enthusiasm, and clarify the path forward. They give substance to your dreams, transforming abstract aspirations into attainable milestones. By committing to these clearly articulated objectives, quitting ceases to be an attractive option. Instead, you find yourself driven forward, inspired, to overcome every challenge standing between you and your vision of success. Self-discipline is the daily practice of choosing what you need most over what you want at the moment. It is not merely about restriction or denying yourself pleasure. Rather, it's about making conscious decisions aligned with your long-term vision, even when motivation wanes or circumstances grow challenging. Consistency in self-discipline transforms fleeting desires into sustainable progress, moving you closer to your goals step by step, day by day. Imagine discipline as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. With each disciplined decision you make, whether big or small, you reinforce your character and strengthen your resolve. Perhaps it's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in, dedicating daily time to study even when you're tired, or sticking to healthy routines instead of succumbing to unhealthy temptations. These seemingly small acts, repeated consistently, form the foundation of significant achievements over time. When you consistently exercise self-discipline, you build a reputation with yourself. You prove internally that your words and commitments have value, creating confidence that you can trust your own decisions and promises. This internal trust is a powerful asset. It significantly reduces the likelihood of giving in or giving up when faced with adversity. Moreover, consistent self-discipline helps maintain momentum. By regularly performing disciplined actions, you create positive habits that carry you forward automatically. These habits begin to feel less like effort and more like second nature, helping you sustain your efforts even during periods of low energy or motivation. Eventually, discipline transforms from conscious effort into automatic behavior, simplifying the path to success. Ultimately, consistent self-discipline is the hallmark of champions. Those who achieve greatness not through occasional bursts of brilliance, but through persistent, unwavering effort. Embracing daily discipline, therefore, becomes essential in achieving your greatest ambitions, protecting you against quitting, and ensuring your steady progression toward a meaningful and successful life. Perseverance is the quiet force that pushes you to continue when everything in you wants to stop. It is not dramatic or loud. It is patient, steady, and deeply rooted in purpose. The real power of perseverance lies in its ability to outlast difficulty, discouragement, and even failure. While others may fall away when things get hard, the person who perseveres stays the course, adjusting if needed, but never backing down completely. When challenges arise, and they always do, perseverance reminds you why you started. It draws strength from your values, your goals, and the vision you hold for your future. It tells you that pain is temporary, that setbacks are not the end, but merely pauses in your journey. Those who persevere understand that success often takes longer than expected, and the road may be tougher than anticipated. But quitting simply isn't an option, because their commitment runs deeper than their circumstances. Perseverance also builds resilience. Every time you overcome a challenge, you grow tougher, more resourceful, and more confident in your ability to handle the next one. The person who perseveres is not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate, but they are the most determined. And over time, this determination compounds, opening doors and creating opportunities that wouldn't have existed without their refusal to give up. Furthermore, perseverance teaches patience. It reminds you that real, lasting success is rarely instant. It requires time, consistent effort, and the willingness to continue even when progress feels slow or invisible. Many people quit just before they're about to break through. But those who persevere eventually find that their persistence pays off in ways they never imagined. In the end, perseverance is proof that your dreams mean enough to fight for. It is the bridge between temporary struggle and lasting success, and it is the reason many achieve what once seemed impossible. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is one of its most important building blocks. Every failure you experience carries within it the seeds of insight, strength, and personal transformation. Instead of seeing failure as a sign that you're not good enough or that you should give up, you must learn to view it as a powerful teacher, one that offers lessons no book or mentor can fully provide. When you fail, you're presented with a unique opportunity to reflect and reassess. What went wrong? What could have been done differently? What did you ignore or underestimate? These are questions that sharpen your thinking and deepen your understanding. Failure, when examined honestly, reveals your blind spots and forces you to confront your weaknesses, which is the first step toward real improvement. More importantly, failure teaches humility. It reminds you that you don't know everything, and that growth is a continuous process. It forces you to let go of arrogance and adopt a mindset of learning. This attitude of humility and curiosity builds emotional maturity, which is essential not only for success, but for long-term personal development. Failure also conditions your mind for resilience. Each time you fall and rise again, you strengthen your inner resolve. You develop the psychological stamina to keep going, even when outcomes are uncertain or progress is slow. In time, your tolerance for adversity increases, and what once seemed like a devastating failure becomes just another step in your journey forward. Most people fear failure because they associate it with finality. But in truth, failure is rarely final unless you decide to stop trying. If you're willing to learn from it, adapt, and keep moving, then every failure becomes a stepping stone, not a dead end. It is through failure that you refine your approach, strengthen your purpose, and eventually build a foundation strong enough to support lasting success. The law of averages suggests that the more often you try, the greater your chances of success. It's a principle grounded in both mathematics and human behavior. Over time, consistent effort begins to produce results, not because every attempt will be a success, but because the accumulation of efforts increases the probability that success will eventually occur. This concept is especially powerful when you're tempted to quit, because it reminds you that the next attempt might be the one that works. Imagine a salesperson making calls. The first few calls may result in rejection, but the law of averages assures that if they keep going, call after call, eventually someone will say yes. The same applies to job applications, business pitches, creative work, or personal goals. If you show up again and again, you give yourself more chances to succeed. One rejection doesn't define your future, and neither do 5 or 50. The key is staying in motion. What the law of averages teaches is that failure is not an enemy, but a necessary part of the process. Each failure brings you closer to the result you want, if you stay in the game long enough. Too often, people quit just before their breakthrough. They allow temporary failure to convince them that success is out of reach, when in fact, they were one more try away from a major win. It also trains your mind to separate your efforts from your emotions. You learn not to take rejection personally because you understand it's part of the process. It's simply a numbers game, and persistence always pays off in the long run. When you believe in the law of averages, you stop fearing setbacks. You start focusing on activity, on taking action, knowing that consistency will eventually tip the odds in your favor. Self-improvement and education are the cornerstones of lasting success. No matter where you start in life, you can elevate your circumstances through the consistent pursuit of knowledge and personal growth. Every skill you develop, every concept you understand, and every habit you improve adds to your ability to handle life's challenges with intelligence, confidence, and resilience. Success is rarely a result of luck. It is the outcome of preparation, and preparation is built through learning. Education isn't limited to formal institutions. Books, seminars, experiences, conversations, mentors, and even failures all serve as teachers. A person committed to growth remains a lifelong student, always seeking ways to improve. The more you grow internally, the more capable you become externally. When you build your mind, you strengthen your ability to solve problems, make wise decisions, and persist through adversity. Self-improvement also builds self-respect. When you invest in yourself, your mindset, your discipline, your abilities, you begin to see your own potential more clearly. You start raising your standards, not just in what you expect from the world, but in what you demand from yourself. This internal shift fuels greater ambition, better habits, and stronger focus. The more educated and improved you become, the less likely you are to quit. Why? Because you begin to see failure differently, not as a stop sign, but as feedback. Education teaches you that setbacks are part of the journey, not the end. Each time you grow, you gain new tools to handle bigger problems, turning what once seemed impossible into something manageable. Ultimately, self-improvement and education are not luxuries. They are responsibilities. They equip you to contribute more, live better, and rise higher. When you commit to learning and evolving, quitting no longer becomes an option. It becomes irrelevant because you're too busy becoming who you were meant to be. Taking responsibility is the starting point of personal power. It means acknowledging that your life, your progress, your setbacks, your success or lack of it, is ultimately in your hands. This doesn't mean you're to blame for every negative thing that happens, but it does mean you are responsible for how you respond and what you choose to do next. When you take full ownership of your outcomes, you stop waiting for others to change and begin changing yourself. That shift in thinking is what separates those who rise from those who retreat. Blaming circumstances, people, or luck is tempting. It's easier on the ego, but blaming takes away your control. It locks you in a passive mindset, where your future depends on external change rather than internal growth. Responsibility, on the other hand, gives you back your power. It says, no matter what happened, I choose what happens next. When you take responsibility, you develop character. You stop making excuses, and you start making adjustments. You reflect, learn, and adapt. You don't deny your mistakes. You study them, own them, and improve from them. This attitude builds credibility with others and trust within yourself. You begin to believe in your ability to handle life, and that belief fuels persistence. Taking responsibility also strengthens your emotional discipline. You don't waste energy blaming or complaining. Instead, you focus on solutions, on growth, on action. This mindset makes quitting feel unnatural, even illogical, because giving up would mean abandoning the one thing you can truly control, your own effort. In the end, taking responsibility is the foundation of freedom. It allows you to shape your life by shaping yourself. And when you realize that your progress depends on no one but you no longer wait for opportunity. You create it. You no longer consider quitting, because you know that your response to difficulty is where greatness begins. The people you spend time with shape your mindset, your standards, and ultimately your destiny. Human beings are deeply influenced by their environment, and that includes the conversations you hear, the attitudes you're exposed to, and the values that are constantly reinforced around you. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, settle for less, or quit at the first sign of difficulty, it becomes easier, almost natural, for you to adopt those same behaviors. On the other hand, when you consistently associate with individuals who are ambitious, disciplined, and focused on growth, their mindset begins to rub off on you. Your associations can either fuel your drive or feed your doubts. Being around people who believe in hard work, persistence, and self-improvement will lift your own expectations. These people won't let you quit easily. They challenge you, support you, and remind you of your potential when you forget it yourself. They hold you accountable, not just for your results, but for your effort, your attitude, and your follow-through. Additionally, your associations reflect your own self-image. When you elevate your circle, you naturally begin to elevate your standards. You become more aware of how you talk, how you act, and what you tolerate in yourself. Good associations push you to be better, not through force, but through inspiration. You begin to adopt the habits and disciplines of those around you, because that becomes the new normal. Choosing the right people to spend time with is not just a social decision, it's a success strategy. It determines the quality of your conversations, your opportunities, and your ability to persist through challenges. If you want to stay committed to your goals and resist the urge to quit, then build a circle that makes quitting feel out of place and persistence feel expected. Progress, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. When you're on a journey toward a big goal, it's easy to become consumed by how far you still have to go. This mindset can quietly lead to frustration, burnout, and even quitting, especially when the results you want don't come as quickly as you hoped. But when you learn to acknowledge and celebrate your small wins along the way, you build momentum. Each small victory becomes a reminder that you're moving in the right direction and that your efforts are paying off, even if the final result isn't here yet. Celebrating progress isn't about pretending the work is done. It's about reinforcing your belief that growth is happening. It keeps you emotionally connected to your goals and helps you stay motivated through the ups and downs. Every task you complete, every good habit you stick to, every obstacle you overcome, these are all signs of transformation, and they deserve your recognition. When you celebrate progress, you train your brain to stay positive. You begin to enjoy the process rather than becoming obsessed with the end result. This mindset is powerful because it keeps you engaged and focused, making the journey feel rewarding in real time. You're not just waiting to be happy once you make it. You find satisfaction in each step forward. Moreover, acknowledging your progress builds confidence. It shifts your inner dialogue from "I'm not there yet" to "Look how far I've come." This shift strengthens your resilience and makes it harder to quit, even when things get tough. You realize that success is not one giant leap, but a series of well-earned steps. In the end, progress is a process of accumulation, and celebrating each part of it helps you stay committed, energized, and in motion toward your ultimate vision.